I think we've seen, especially through COVID, how much fashion brands have been stuck with excess stock, and they're just selling it off cheap. And this kind of like stack it high, sell it cheap situation is just a downward spiral that we kind of really need to stop.
Hello, my name's Nicole, and welcome to this week's episode of The Big Chat. And I'm very, very happy to be introducing you today to someone who I've been personally working with for a little while. Her name's Emily, and she is a fashion coach. She has an amazing company called Excel in Fashion, and I've had the joy of working with Emily for some time now, and she's got a lot to tell you about coaching in the fashion world. So hello, Emily.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
How are you doing this morning? It's been a bit crazy getting here, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm here now, and it's lovely to be here. Such a nice location as well. So
yeah, and in person. This is the first time you and I have actually met in person since the first time we sort of started speaking, which was a few months ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of Zoom calls, but
a lot
it's nice
of Zoom
to
calls
be in person.
It's very nice. So for those that are listening today, tell people a bit about what you do, where you're from. Obviously, I've given a bit of an intro, but tell people a bit more about your business, Emily, and then we'll get chatting.
Yeah, so I am Emily, and I am a fashion strategy coach, and I basically help startup brands and young fashion brands to really solidify their product pricing, branding, and also trading strategies to make sure their brands are going to be sustainable, and also to try and think about implementing greener strategies and make it kind of more of a positive impact with everything that they're growing.
Yeah, okay, great. And this is something that's really come about in the last year, isn't it?
Yeah, so everything kind of changed in the past year, and I decided to start up my own brand and go alone almost a year ago actually now. And I've really loved it ever since. Before that, I came from a background of 10 years working in luxury fashion brands, heading up product strategy and buying teams for some big names. And then I just decided I really wanted to help smaller people that perhaps don't have all of the business and strategy ideas set in place, but have this wonderful product in their mind that they want to kind of get out there and just need a bit of assistance in making it a profitable and sustainable business.
And that's something that we obviously, that's how we got talking about coaching, because obviously you're a coach, I've been coaching, we did a bit of coaching together. That's something that you've really pulled on your resources, haven't you? Because like you said, you've been in the industry for 10 years, you worked for other people for 10 years for some pretty big names, and you've experienced a lot of things in those industries that, different ways of managing, different ways of interacting. And it was that you really pulled on, wasn't it, that made you want to step out alone and help people?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said of the way of working with people and how to interact. And there is a lot of change happening in the fashion industry, and it is getting a lot better, but I think there's still a long way to go in terms of some ways that brands and things that do things and the way that people are treated is not necessarily the best, which was part of the reason why I wanted to kind of go it alone and make something that was just a nice balance really of work and life, and actually just be able to make an impact and physically see helping other people as well, rather than just all being for one company. To be able to work with lots of people has been really great, and it's just really nice to know lots of different companies and where they come from and why they're doing things is great. And
you're a young whippersnapper, Emily, aren't you? I mean, you for starting up on your own, you're in the prime of your life, I would say, but you're a young lady to be doing it. And how have you found that over the last year? Has it had its challenges? Because it's a lot of people have stepped out and decided to do something on their own during this pandemic, which is a bold move, isn't it? And what's your experience been of that?
I think the pandemic's been a great time for me to do it, because I think it's given me space to actually think about it and to do things without necessarily having the pressure of other events going on or worrying about other things that I might be doing whilst trying to set this up. So I've actually had time to really think about what I want to do and how I want to do it. So I think it's been a good time for me to do it.
And have you always loved fashion? Has that always been your... So when you were younger, what was your kind of... When you were really little, What were your aspirations? What were your inspirations? What was it that you wanted to do?
I was always going to be a fashion designer.
Okay.
I studied design, so I actually had in my mind that I was completely going to have my own business. I was going to be selling all these wonderful clothes, having a catwalk, everything like that. Then I went into the industry, and after quite a few design internships, actually ended up landing my first job under a head of merchandising. And then from then on, I just realised that actually, so my background at school was always maths, business, and then art and textiles. So really opposites, if you like. And then like product merchandising gave me the opportunity to be in touch with all the products, but still be really strategic, really business focused, and like use the mathematical skills that I also love working with. So it was a good combination for me to end up here, really.
Yeah, and we've spoken about that, you and I, haven't we, about that sort of mix, because I'm as well, I like science, and then I like really creative things.
Yeah.
And so some people are either more science and mathematical, some people are more creative, but some of us like a mixture of both. And it's really interesting that you're able to pull those two together. And is that so? When you came out of college, talk a bit more about that. So when you came out of college, you got a job, you got into that. What was your experience of that? Was that straight from college?
So I went to university.
Yeah, university.
So after university, I went straight into design internships for quite a long time as well, and then straight into the merchandising, and it was just actually a CAD design role as well. So it's still a complete hybrid role. It was quite a small company. So I got to be really involved with all the things that were happening, how it was bought, and then I moved on to some bigger companies after that and really built on those skills. But it was, I don't really know, it was just like a light bulb moment. I didn't even know that this particular type of role in fashion existed, which I think is also another reason for setting up this company, to advise people who are focused really on design and really, really creative, that there is this other kind of thing to think about, and the other strategic side of fashion to kind of make your business work, and that I didn't really know about until I went into the industry and actually found out about it. Otherwise, I think I probably would have still gone down the same route. I don't think I would have changed from design until I'd worked in the industry, but maybe I would have thought a bit differently.
So was it something that you felt that there was a lacking of it, that there was that support for? Is that where it came up? Because you sort of mentioned that if there was more of that, because we've talked a lot about that support, and the wonderful thing about coaching is that you do get that support, don't you? But you're also helping people to get the answers themselves. So what's the difference? Say I come to you and I want to set something up. What would be a certain type of client, dare I say it, for you, Emily, at the moment? So what would be someone that might come through your doors? What would they be doing? What would they be needing you to help them with?
So they've probably got a product idea in mind, and they've probably started making some designs and thinking about some key things that they want their brand to stand for. So what I would then be looking to do is kind of really strip that back and make sure the base foundation is really strong. So really planning the brand, planning why the brand is going to exist, why it's needed, why the customers really want it, like what's the mission, and how is the mission shown through every single thing that's happening, through the campaigns, through the products, through any communication that goes to the customers, and then building it back up. So with clients that I'm working with at the moment, for example, we've gone through all these different stages. We'll look at the pricing, how to price the product properly for what it is, to make sure it's actually competitive without giving away profits that you could be keeping on it if you're selling it for too little, for example. Working through why the product needs to be made in a certain place, for fabrics, all the different reasonings that make it what it is and make it the perfect thing for the customer, and then building into a range plan to understand what products are actually needed, and really trying to minimise waste as well with buying. So I think we've seen, especially through COVID, how much fashion brands have been stuck with excess stock, and they're just selling it off cheap. And this kind of like stack it high, sell it cheap situation is just a downward spiral that we kind of really need to stop, because we're just filling landfill and creating this like demand for things that are disposable. Really, we need to be making it more there's a reason why you're buying this product, there's a reason why you're buying it from me, here's all the great things that you can expect from it, and this is what I offer you. And the range plan will allow you to do that, because you can plan out what's going to be there every season, why it's great, and then what you need to come in, and then what will naturally flow out. Like, there's always going to be ebbs and flows of product that need to go through its life cycle, but it should still have enough life in it. You know?
We've become very sort of quick to dispose things, haven't we? It's like, oh, I'll have that and then I don't want that next week. And I think we're all victim of that in some ways, and need to think a bit more like that, because like you say, there must be so much stock at the moment.
Oh, there is.
That's just sitting around and just not, because it's past seasons, hasn't it? I mean, there must be absolutely, and that's something probably people don't necessarily think about unless they're in the industry.
Yeah, no,
is what's happened to that. Tell us a bit more about that sector as well, sort of how that's been hit in the last year, because I have a few people that I know that have been in that sector that have literally, they've just not worked. It must have been tough for a lot of your friends and peers.
It's been very difficult for the industry. I think a lot of brands have really, really struggled. I think a lot of colleagues and peers have been spending a lot of time on furlough. Many companies have made a lot of redundancies, which is very sad for the industry. Also, I hate to say the B word, but Brexit has been a huge issue for the industry. It's been, very difficult for fashion brands in the past year. And I think especially another factor of this having too much stock left is customers have had a lot of time to educate themselves during COVID and really learn a bit more about sustainability, about being green. They've also had a chance to reevaluate their own wardrobes and see that actually during COVID I've worn like 4 pairs of leggings and 5 t-shirts. What else do I need? You know, you've really realised what is important.
Yeah.
And I think brands need to connect in that way to understand what customers really want and sell that, not just try to push everything. And that's another reason why we're stuck with so much stock, because people are thinking, do I actually need to buy these 10 dresses that I would have previously bought?
Yeah, because and I think that's so true, because I mean, I like shopping.
Oh, I love shopping as well.
I'm not gonna lie, I like shopping, but I mean, actually, I definitely have not rushed back out to go shopping. I've got my favourite shops that I love, local shops that I like to support, but actually I was saying to a friend the other day that I'm not impulse purchasing as much as I used to. And actually that sort of customer journey where if they don't get me straight away, especially if I go through something like Instagram or something, if they don't get me straight away, I quite often think, oh no, I don't need that actually. Yeah. Whereas there would have been a time where I might have been a little bit more just quick to purchase something or gone shopping and got carried away with the moment. Because like you say, I think we've all had to be a bit more thoughtful about what we're spending our money on, but also we're not going out the same way that we used to. Do you think that's going to change when things hopefully lift again and we can get back out? I mean,
I think it will. I think we're due a bit of a roaring 20s, if you like, a second roaring 20s. And I think it will come back. And I think there's definitely some research as well that's been, Bank of England did something a while back that said they can see people are starting to spend on more long-term products. So like a really nice leather handbag, and there's like upticks in sales of things like that. And I think that we will see a growth as we go back to more normality, where people want to feel fresh again. They want to be able to dress up again. But I think that even though we'll see the uptick in that, we will see that people are making more considered purchases. They're more interested in where the product's coming from and what it's actually made of.
Yeah, and definitely what it's made of. And is that so tell me about that, because that's really interesting when you say that green element to what you do, because that's really important, because that is a big part of what you do. Has that something you've always been interested in?
Yeah, it's something that I definitely think that we can do a lot better with in fashion, and there's so many ways we can do things like, for example, swimwear. If you dye them in fluoro coloured dyes, the amount of water wastage and chemical that's in fluoro dye is just obscene. But if you were to buy or make something that doesn't have these in, you're already making a difference to the amount of water wastage. You can use recycled fabrics. You can make kind of drives to have collect clothes that aren't needed anymore, and do any kind of green initiatives. And I think it's also good to point out that fashion is ultimately never going to be a fully green industry because of what it is. We are still consuming products and doing all these things, and I think that it also supports a huge amount of people in other countries that are working in factories and whatever, and we need to improve those conditions. But if you completely remove that whole situation, you're also removing all those jobs that are supporting other people. So it needs to be done in a way that ensures that we keep supporting all the people that are already part of it. Yeah, completely.
Definitely. So I mean, also children, kids' clothes. My kids have just grown in the last year. Well, clearly they grow every year. That would be good that they grow every year. But I mean, they've literally clothes that they've just, it's, you know, they haven't needed clothes and they've needed clothes and they've grown and they haven't. So there must be just a surplus of things. People like me and you and the team here that we've got clothes. I mean, what are the little things that we can do to be better? You know, like you said, recycling clothes, great. But, you know, with all this surplus stuff that I've got, what should I be doing with that? Should I be boot fairing it? Should I be taking it to the charity shop? Should I be remaking more clothes out of it? What?
I mean, I think...
I don't fancy my chances with remaking clothes, to be fair, but, you know, give me some ideas.
So I think, like you say, giving it to charities and things like that is a really good way of doing it, but making sure you understand where the clothes are going and that it is a reputable company. And, yeah, because obviously some of them are not as good as others and they just sell it on in other places. So making sure that that's a good thing. But if it still sort of fits, I mean, children's clothing is a bit of a different ball game, so charity shops are kind of the best place for that. But if it still fits, it's things like mending it or making it into something else. And we have seen quite a lot of interest in made to measure garments and things that are more exactly for you, tailored in one piece. People are willing to spend a bit more and also just keep them for a lot longer. So I think that there's a lot of things you can be done with what you have already. And
what's the thing you love the most about what you're doing? I mean, you clearly love fashion. You love fashion. I mean, what is it all areas of that industry, or is there anything specific that you tailor into? So where I focus the most is actual like behind the scenes product strategy, working with customers to really hone in on what the product is and make a plan of actually everything that needs to be in the collection, making sure that it's made in the right way, it's fitting exactly the customer's needs, it's bought in the right quantities, and then ways of trading it to make it the most profitable. So, I mean, merchandising is more of like a product merchandising, I should say, because there's several types of merchandising, like branch merchandising, kind of allocating products to store and planning in that way. Visual merchandising is kind of making everything look beautiful and as profitable in the store and the windows and all of these sorts of things. Whereas product merchandising is more behind the scenes. So I work a lot with the design teams, with product development teams, and kind of like the communication point in the middle of a lot of areas of the business, really. So we would be trading the product whilst trading the product in season, working with kind of marketing teams, anything that might need a push or any more help on socials and things like that. So we're working really closely with them to make sure that happens, working out what needs to go in the campaign, whilst also working on the next season that's being developed with product development to make sure it's still on track and doing everything that we need within the right margins, with all the right capabilities of the product. And then again on the season next one, even ahead, with design, planning out what needs to be in that collection based on all the analysis of the sales that are happening right now. So it's quite it's pretty in depth. There's always quite a lot of things, of balls juggling at the same time, but I love that though. I love being busy, and I love being like understanding everything and analysing why something's working, and then being able to really use that in the next collection and tailor into that is great. And when you see something come from like a complete idea or through the whole process and then just turn into like a sales success, it's so exciting. And is that the bit that you love about the coach? Because I mean, obviously, as you know, I quite like coaching, because when you see people really just come into their own, that's the beauty of it. And I guess with coaching with a business and a product and all of those areas as well, you're not just coaching the person, but you're coaching the business, so you see that flourish. So that's even it's even more amazing.
And I mean, most of my meetings in the last year have obviously been on Zoom and other things like that, so it's just been also having chats with people, and when you talk about things, you're like, how about if you think about this thing? Oh my god, I could do this product, this would be amazing, this is so exciting. And then like I absolutely love the sessions, and like some of the a couple of hours at a time, or sometimes even a whole day, and you come away and you're like, I'm literally buzzing because I've just had so much fun working with people doing this, and they've got all these new ideas. And it's just like watching people have like their light bulb moments. It's just super exciting. And like you say, it's kind of helping people come to the ideas themselves. Like, I'm not going in to say this, like, this is exactly what you need to be doing here, there and everywhere, because the best way to be is tailoring the approach, because it's not one size fits all for everything that happens. So yeah, it's really great to see how that changes and how it works for different people.
And it's like you can, like you say, you can add on and you can be part of a bigger organisation that needs specific support, but you can also, with someone independent that was going out on their own and can't necessarily manage a team of people working with them at that point, they've got support.
Yeah,
which is and not just from a support as in workforce support, but actually, like you're saying, giving them those ideas, giving them those little nudges, giving them that's really important, I think. And I really like the way that coaching collaborates with business in that sense. I think that's why we're seeing so many coaches now, because it's a competitive industry, isn't it? Coaching, I would say.
It is completely. And I mean, like you say, about having that continuous support. So one of my offers is the teammate package, and that's where I work one-on-one with a client, and we have video calls bi-weekly and really go through all the strategy top line. And then in between, there's like continuous support and email and messages. So any questions, I'm always answering them, any files that are needed. And then we have like big strategy planning sessions on the call. And it's just found that it's been really helpful for people to have a continuous support, and to any time you've got a little question, not worry about being like, oh yeah, well, how have you done this? What's your experience of that in the past? I'm thinking about this, but I'm not sure. And it's just been really helpful to have that opportunity, really. And I've really enjoyed it, to be honest. I don't really know how else to explain it. I've just loved doing it in the last year. So how has it fit in with your, obviously lockdown, you've had a bit more time, but you're quite busy. How's it fitted in with your family and life outside of work? How do you find that it fits in around that? Yeah, it's been really helpful, actually. I mean, I think, you know, from more than most people, all of the things that I've been trying to do at the same time, along with renovating a house and planning a wedding. But when I first started the business, I was just focusing on it, and I quite liked structure, and I quite liked having my 9 to 5. So I was still working kind of mostly a 9 to 5, but I still liked that I could always be like, oh, I need to do this thing tomorrow, so I can just move my hours around as and when. Whereas now things have got a bit more busy, so it's been great being able to have a bit more flexibility. Like it's been really helpful to keep that balance and to be able to, it's just.
And it's a good show of your skills as well, because like you mentioned, you are planning a wedding
for the third time.
For the third time, but you've had
to the same guy, I should say.
The same guy, not to 3 different men.
Yeah,
you know, it's all been happening in lockdown. But I mean, you had some amazing. You know, we had some nice experiences where it's like, oh my God, where are you going to get married? Oh wow, this has happened.
In the last week, something's just turned up.
Something's just dropped in my lap. Thank you very much, universe. But also with moving, that's a stressful thing to do. I mean, I think they're up there on those lists, whoever makes them, you know, getting married, getting divorced, and let's not talk about the divorce one, but certainly in moving house and changing jobs, I think they're on the list. And you've kind of done 3 of those. I'm
not really one for doing things by half, to be honest.
Clearly not.
3 big things at once. So yeah, I'm getting through it.
You are.
I'm looking forward to the house being finished, and then soon after that will be the wedding, and then after that I'll be able to have a nice, hopefully a bit of relaxing time in the summer.
Then you'll be working. Then you'll be busy working. What did you find, you know, without going into detail about what we did together, but what did you find helped you with coaching? Because I'm sure, as with me, I've had coaching with a phenomenal coach, Nina Madden, and actually when she coached me, it's like anything, it inspires you to how you're going to go and coach. So what did you learn from doing that coaching experience yourself? Because you were part of that with me. What have you learned, and what are you going to take away from that for you and your business?
I think it's been a lot about giving myself a bit of space and actually trusting a lot more, because I think deep down I know that I can, but there's always been like a lot of blocks, which is a lot of what we were talking about, and just trying to get past that thought process, which I think is also like you say, what goes into the things that I'm coaching as well. I know quite a lot of people that I'm speaking to that are like, oh, I could do this, but what if it doesn't work, or what if I'm doing the wrong thing? And it's
the what ifs.
Yeah, the full on the what ifs of everything. And I think it's something that you said to me as well. Was like, the decision you make will be the right decision.
Yeah.
Because either you'll learn from it, or it'll be the right one and it'll have worked out.
It'll always be the right decision. I come out with some nuggets like that. They're a bit annoying. It's like, whatever decision you make will be the right decision. But it is true, isn't it? It really is true, because actually sometimes making the decision is the hardest thing, because we can remain stuck. We literally can be in this point where we're like, oh, what do I do? Because like you say, if I do this and it doesn't work, or if I do that, and even when money's involved, it's always incredibly stressful when you're balancing other things like weddings and houses and all these other things. But actually, sometimes when we make that decision, and like what you're doing with brands, they need to, you need to put one foot in front of the other in order to just progress. Otherwise, it's a horrible feeling.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing that I found during our coaching was like, maybe you noticed it, like 1 week to the next, just suddenly felt more decisive. Felt completely empowered by that I'm always a really indecisive person, but actually owning the decision on a few things that happened just made me feel so much better. And it was like, right, it's done now, it's off the table, I've got space now to think about other things.
And actually making those decisions can be so much more terrifying than actually doing it, don't you think?
Absolutely.
It's like, literally, I speak for myself. It's like I put myself under all this pressure sometimes, and it's like, oh, I've got to do this, and then actually when you do it, the relief and just clears the way for so many other things, doesn't it?
It's the thinking about all of the things that could happen, good or bad, like every outcome, anything in my mind, and like, I've just spent how long thinking about all of this when I could probably have done the thing in that time.
Absolutely. And even if you'd done it and it didn't go quite to plan, you'd find another way of doing it, wouldn't you?
It, yeah.
How's your industry as well with, because obviously we found each other through LinkedIn, and that was how, I put a call out there to coach some people, and we got in touch that way. You do a lot with LinkedIn. What are the other channels that you use? Because you do a lot of social media. You mentioned you've had to take the foot off the gas a little bit at the moment, which I think a lot of people are doing, because during the pandemic, that was the way we were communicating with each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
How are you finding adjusting now that we're sort of getting back out there again and social media? And
it's really nice to start speaking to people again, and like more. I think, like you say, everyone's found that you need to take a bit of a break off that and just actually focus on like real life relationships and just getting back into that swing of things, because it's been quite a long time where we just haven't really seen people in the same way. So LinkedIn is one of my main places to find me on. Always finding that really interesting. There's a lot of business focused people on there, so it's quite interesting the responses you get on it and how different they are from Instagram, which is my other main channel that I show up on. Do a lot of lives and things on there, which is really interesting. Get a lot of people coming in and feeding back on that, which is lovely. And then also Clubhouse, which
I was going to say Clubhouse.
I'm loving. So I joined Clubhouse in January when it was like super new, and I think they're just starting to open it up to more and more people now. And I've been hosting a weekly room on there, which is Tuesday evenings at 6 p.m. And it's called the Fashion Founders Power Hour. And on there, I usually get some guest hosts, and we have there's become a panel of experts basically. And then we have everyone come into the audience. We'll talk about a topic every week, and then everyone will give some advice. And then we open up the stage to the audience for any questions or any bits they want to add to the conversation. And yeah, it's great. I find it really interesting, and I've met some incredible people through Clubhouse that I just would never have met otherwise. So I think it's a really interesting platform.
And it is funny actually, because I know that you're on Clubhouse, and someone was mentioning to me about Clubhouse obviously when it first came about, or it was surfacing during lockdown, and I was like, where is this Clubhouse? What's going on with this Clubhouse? How do I get an invite to Club? Because you have to be invited, don't you? And then someone pointed out to me that they'd invited me the week previously to me going on about it. I actually had one in my email. So I went in and did it. I sent one to some of my film crew, got some as well, and we all got involved in it. And it is great. You do literally, sometimes I go in and when it says leave quietly, I get a bit, can they hear me? But it's such a integration between social media, podcast, talking, just listening, not seeing. I like the way that you can do that. I like the way that you can just listen to people, a bit like a podcast does, but it's a social media platform. It's very interesting. Yeah. Do you think that's something that's going to grow and grow?
I think so. I think it's going to be, I particularly only use it for business, really.
Yeah.
But I love it, and I love the connections that it makes, and I think it's going to continue to grow because it's such an organic place. And it's actually, to be honest with you, when it started, it was amazing to see all these big names of massive coaches that you know in the industry, and they had like 5 followers as well, and you're like, we're all the same. Yeah. And it's amazing just to be like that. It's a reminder that you can all start, basically, and it's lovely.
Absolutely. And it's and exactly, and it's not that is the point. When you start at anything, we all start from the same place. And I think there were some amazing names in there. I mean, I remember I was going into certain rooms and there were literally people in there that you're like, I can't believe I'm actually sort of listening to this person talking in the same virtual room as me.
I think Elon Musk came on and broke the app.
Yeah.
So many people tried to sign into his room that it broke it.
Yeah.
But
it's a really good platform for bringing community together like that. And I think for business it's been brilliant, because I do like the way that the world is becoming more open at sharing knowledge.
Yeah.
Right, it's a bit like with coaching as well. It's rather than I can't help someone because then what if they take away all my ideas, and everyone's becoming a bit more collaborating, which I think is key for us to move forwards in the world.
And I completely agree with you about the knowledge thing. It really feels like it is like a big movement of collaboration over competition, and that's something that I like to offer. And my USP is that I want to give you knowledge. I want to empower you to do things of everything you can. And if you come onto my channels, my Instagram or my LinkedIn, or even in my Clubhouse rooms, like, I'm not worried about giving you information. Like, I will try and help you as much as I can, and then maybe you'll want to work with me after that one-to-one, or maybe you've got what you need and it's not the right time for you at this moment. But I want to be able to be giving advice, and I'm not necessarily worried about, I need to hold this back, because that's, I don't know, it's just not the way I do things. I know some people have been like, you're giving too much away, you need to be charging for that. And it's like, well, I also want to be helping. Yeah. So
it is good. You've got to do what feels right for you. And I think being an open book, sometimes people may, unfortunately, sometimes some things people take advantage of, but hopefully the majority of people don't take advantage of things when you give. And I think sharing knowledge is the way that you ultimately grow your audience, because people like that. I think when they come into your room, they can hear that you're really wanting to help businesses, aren't you? Yeah. And you're pulling on those experiences that you've had yourself. So if people want to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you? You mentioned Instagram. Shoot us your handles and all the rest of it, so we know, so everyone knows. I can't remember everyone's.
So on Instagram, it's XL_in_fashion, and you can reach me through my DMs on there. The website is www.excelinfashion.com, and there's a contact form on there as well, or my email is emily@excelinfashion.com. And on LinkedIn, I think I am Emily Harris Fashion Coach. So
they can find you. They will just or you can just find her through here. I think we have little links and all sorts of things that will be going out when it goes out. So we'll have all of that. So anyone out there that's really, maybe someone individual that's thought, I want to start something up in lockdown. I've got this brilliant idea. What's your advice to them?
To take time to plan, really plan from the start exactly, like brand profiles. And actually, I haven't mentioned on here, I have a blog as well. So I write an informative blog on all sorts of different topics in fashion, from how to build a brand profile, how to create a range plan, pricing structures, product architectures, and all sorts of things, marketing, and that's kind of where I would say, if you're really starting out, maybe you don't have the budget to be going for a full coach at the moment, I've got loads of information on there on how to get going, and just to really take time to plan from the start before diving into designing the product, because you might find that, and you probably will find, that all of the different things that you plan out with your mission, the brand's values, it will affect what you design. Yeah. And what you'll end up with is a much better, much stronger product in the end that has meaning behind it. And there's a huge amount of research that customers really want to buy from brands that they trust and that they really align with their values now a lot more, like more than ever. So it's definitely a way to
take time to plan.
Take time to plan.
Take time to plan. Speak to someone like Emily. She'll help you. You'll help them along the way.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I think, just like you say, there's all these different resources, aren't there? Like your blog, Clubhouse, all these different areas that you can actually find out information. Come and have a chat. Ask her.
I'd love to have a chat. You might have noticed.
And then you can just do it. Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you over the past few weeks, and I have no doubts how successful your coaching business is going to go on to grow and be. So well done you, and good luck with the wedding.
Yes, thank you.
Not good luck with the wedding, that sounds awful. Good luck with the house move, and I can't wait to see all the photos of the wedding because it's going to be glorious from all accounts.
Let's hope the COVID rules keep.
They're gonna. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be good. You found a good. The latest venue's good. It's all gonna be good. It's all gonna be great. Well, thank you for joining us today, Emily. It's lovely to talk to you.
Yeah, it's been amazing to do all the coaching with you in the last few months. So
well, thank you very much. You've been a pleasure to coach, and watch this space is all I can say. So thank you.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Emily.